Are you a new employee of a company? Have you experienced conflict with any of your colleagues and struggled to resolve it? Well, we're here to help you. Let's start by defining conflict. Conflict is an expressed struggle between two or more parties in which goals are perceived as incompatible or resources are perceived to be insufficient. Pause this video and ask yourself, do you know the reason for your conflicts? It is important to identify what's the problem before you can decide how to approach it. Here are some reasons that can lead to conflict when you're working in a team environment. There may be an overlapping of roles, where it's unclear of who is responsible for what task. Interpersonal conflict happens when there's a difference in judgments. If there are contradictions at the organizational or management level. A common cause of conflict is communication when words are misinterpreted. You might experience workplace harassment or bullies. Other causes can include a difference in goals, philosophies, work ethic, and misunderstandings. Now let's get into what one should do when entering a new workplace.
Here are some things you can start with to help prevent conflict. As a new employee entering a workplace that most likely already established a strong team foundation, it will be helpful to try to meld into that environment. The first thing you can do is to adapt to the team charter, the workplace norms, and be familiar with any team planning that has already been done. A team charter is a document developed by a group in the beginning stages of team formation and lists fundamental aspects with the intention of providing the team with structure, order, and direction. The charter will bridge differences to form a team culture with a common purpose. While every charter will be different, it should include core components such as team name, purpose and goals, norms, desired outcomes, consequences, and conflict management. Charters are recognized to be an imperative step in the formation of a team, and it is worthwhile to learn it to 1. Ensure it resonates with all members. As groups evolve whereby members come and go, the charter should be up for revision. 2. It can help improve team performance. In a study that specifically examined the influence of charters, one of the findings indicated that teams will perform more efficiently and be able to focus on task work without the need to be interrupted to discuss issues as it can directly be addressed by the charter. As a result, confusions and misunderstandings will be reduced, which will minimize opportunities for conflicts. The second thing you can look into are organization policies. There is likely to be existing workplace policies and guidelines that addresses conflict. This is a good additional resource to familiarize yourself with how the company will approach the dispute. The third approach is to try establishing relationships. Transitioning into a new workplace with people you know nothing about will make it hard for you to relate to each other. This is why you should begin the process of building relationships with them. If not already done so, you can 1. Suggest group activities, and 2. Try to engage in small talk to get to know your group members. The purpose is to encourage communication and build trust. According to a training analyst and her co-author, they wrote that it is important to know trust is established, or not, right at the outset. This is consistent with other researchers that caution initial impressions of trust are critical and difficult to establish later. An article written by 2 professors in organizational behavior and management, they found that first interactions are what sets the tone for how members will relate to one another throughout the duration of working together. Therefore, communication within the team and lots of time spent together is necessary for members to foster an inclusive environment to avoid alienation. Face-to-face interactions is what will promote trust in most teams because the more you interact, the better the team relationship will become. It is the process of building positive interpersonal relationships between colleagues whereby fairness, trust, and mutual respect is diligently addressed to mitigate potential future conflicts. Now, let's move on to the fourth and last prevention tactic. You can observe group members and make note of their personality style, demeanor, and be mindful of nonverbal cues. Communication styles will vary among individuals, so it is important to observe, make note, and work towards adapting to each other's way of communication. This may sound difficult, but a communication book written by 2 professors state that people arranging identity groups and power status are capable of adopting different styles of communication, and that as culture changes, people are able to successfully shift communication styles to match the people they work with and situational circumstances. Another consideration to be aware of is nonverbal communication. Nonverbal communication is the conveying of information by using body language, eyes, face, tone of the voice, and so on. It is believed that nonverbal cues are oftentimes more true than verbal statements and outnumbers verbal cues. This makes it necessary to have a grasp of the personality of those you work with to try to decode these cues.
Next, we'll talk a little bit about how you can resolve conflict. Conflict cannot be avoided entirely, so here are a few of the strategies you can use if you find yourself in one. Number 1, use your voice. As a new employee, it's important to share your voice and participate in conflict resolution decisions, boosting your perception of fairness with the outcome. Number 2, collaborating. This is the most useful strategy when managing conflict because it focuses on working together to arrive at one solution that each side has ownership and commitment to. Both parties feel involved in making the solution, leading to a more harmonious working environment. Number 3, compromising. This strategy is useful because both parties work out a solution that involves compromising, while being able to avoid further confrontation and conflict with one another. One drawback is that some parties may not be too happy with the final result. Number 4, perspective taking. This is the most effective way to approach a conflict because when the other person's feelings and perspectives are acknowledged, it demonstrates respect and empathy. This shows a willingness to understand where the feelings are coming from, and that can further de-escalate the conflict. Number 5, delay responses and self-reflect. This is an important one that forces you to pause and collect your thoughts. This can tone down any tensions that exist and give you time to rethink the situation before responding.
What not to do. Avoiding is the easiest thing to do, and this is not an effective strategy because it is unassertive and does not address the concerns of anyone. You run the risk of leaving tension unsolved, which can potentially lead to other problems later. 2. Do not respond destructively. Winning at all costs, my way or highway, can jeopardize relationships between coworkers and can prevent growth as a team. Demeaning others by devaluing and ridiculing. This is self-explanatory. Surrendering, giving into the situation, suppression of own original personality. Hiding emotions, denying your true feelings can cause stress mentally and put strain on the relationship between coworkers. Rationale. Conflict management is important because it 1. Forces us to find productive ways to communicate differences, seek common goals, and gain consensus. 2. Encourages us to look at all points of view and adopt the best ideas. 3. Increases creativity by forcing us to look beyond current assumptions and think outside the box. 4. It improves the quality of decisions and team outcomes. 5. Allows us to express emotions to prevent feelings building up about unresolved issues to become an obstacle later. 6. It encourages participation and allows group members to agree and disagree. 7. Increase mutual understanding and group cohesion with strong mutual respect.
Let's go through a scenario and try to apply our knowledge. Flora and Miles both work in film production. Miles was hired a month ago and Flora has been with the company for 5 years. Miles, while being a competent worker, tends to wait until the last minute to get his work done. Flora works more steadily and keeps on top of her work daily. Flora complains that she feels she has to worry now about his work and her own. And because they rely on each other for certain tasks, she is uncomfortable with waiting until an hour or so before a deadline when they're forced to collaborate. As a result of the conflict, Miles is missing more work, and you suspect it's because he wants to avoid Flora and her wrath. Pause the video and try to work out the problem with the strategies that you just learned. Working independently is not ideal in most cases, but it is a minor compromise to work towards your common goal. Differences in work styles is an extremely common conflict, but it can generally be resolved with empathetic understanding and the following key points. Engage in perspective taking. Miles should understand that his work ethic will put stress on those that work directly with him. Collaborate with your coworker. Both Miles and Flora should collaborate and work towards their desired outcome. Utilize your voice. Flora should openly communicate her feelings and concerns in a calm manner. Try to maintain respect in the conversation and understand that it does not mean that you're going to always immediately agree.
Conclusion. It's important to add that conflict is normal. It's an inevitable part of being in any work environment. But a critical skill to have is knowing how to resolve it in a healthy and beneficial way.
Thank you for watching our video, and we hope that you can use these important conflict resolution strategies in the future.